The story of the world's most controversial empire, Britain's history is not merely the tale of an island, but the tragic and magnificent saga of an empire that once claimed the sun never set upon it. From ancient stone carvings to sky-piercing towers, this land has been home to conquerors, inventors, poets, and revolutionaries. Every turn in its history is intertwined with events that changed the world: Roman military strategy, the savage beauty of the Vikings, royal conspiracies, the explosive growth of the Industrial Revolution, and the mysterious decline of colonial power. This story echoes with the voices of millions. Those who shaped this history were consumed by it or sacrificed for it. In the caves of Habsburg, stone tools and animal bones dating back 800,000 years have been discovered, proving that Neanderthals once lived here. These ancient humans were physically strong and adapted to survive in harsh climates. Around 6000 BCE, rising sea levels separated Britain from mainland Europe. In 2500 BCE, the mysterious Stonehenge was constructed, possibly used as an astronomical observatory. Research suggests that the people buried there may have come from faraway regions, possibly from Wales in western Britain. By 500 BCE, Celtic warriors and Druids appeared in Britain. Druids were the religious leaders and learned men of Celtic society. They built hill forts and used iron weapons and horse-drawn chariots to fight Roman invaders. In 43 CE, Roman Emperor Claudius, aiming to expand the Roman Empire, invaded Britain with 40,000 troops. Local tribal leader Caractacus resisted bravely, but was ultimately defeated at the Battle of Watling Street. The Romans introduced modern roads, forts, aqueducts, and heated public baths in England, symbols of their advanced civilization. In 60 CE, Queen Boudica of the Iceni tribe rebelled against the Romans after they seized her kingdom following her husband's death, violated her daughters, and treated her people cruelly. In a furious uprising, Boudica destroyed and burned London to the ground. In 122 CE, the construction of Hadrian's Wall marked the northern boundary of the Roman Empire, but by 410 CE, the Roman legions withdrew, and Britain entered the Dark Ages. In the 5th century, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes established various kingdoms in Britain, later collectively known as the Anglo-Saxons. In 793, the Viking raid on Lindisfarne signaled the beginning of a terrifying and violent era. Vikings were seafaring invaders known for their raids and conquests. In 871, King Alfred the Great defeated the Vikings, halted their advances, and strengthened England politically and militarily. On October 14, 1066, William the Conqueror defeated King Harold at the Battle of Hastings and began the Norman rule of England. William, who invaded from France, became the new king. Under Norman rule, castles like the Tower of London were built, and the Domesday Book was compiled a detailed record of land, property, and resources. During the Norman era, French became the official language. A rigid social hierarchy known as the Three Estates emerged. Lords, nobility, the church, clergy, and peasants, often living like serfs. This system economically and socially suppressed the lower class. In 1170, Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, was murdered under orders from King Henry II, escalating tensions between the Crown and the Church. Becket's death drew international condemnation. In 1215, King John was forced by barons and nobles to sign the Magna Carta. This document placed the king under the rule of law and laid the foundation for constitutional democracy by limiting royal powers. From 1337 to 1453, England and France fought the 100 Years' War over territory and political dominance. In 1415, the Battle of Agincourt saw English forces using longbows devastate the French cavalry, a significant English victory. In 1348, the Black Death wiped out about 50% of England's population. This weakened the feudal system and led to social and economic shifts due to labor shortages. From 1455 to 1487, civil wars between the houses of Lancaster and York for control of the throne became known as the Wars of the Roses, a symbol of dynastic rivalry. In 1485, Henry Tudor defeated the Yorkists at the Battle of Bosworth Field and founded the Tudor dynasty, ushering in a new era of governance. In the 16th century, King Henry VIII established the Church of England due to religious disputes and broke from the Catholic Church. He dissolved monasteries and seized their wealth, leading to major religious and political transformations. In 1588, England defeated the Spanish Armada, securing naval dominance and positioning itself as a powerful European force. In the 18th century, Britain promoted the African slave trade, leading cities like Liverpool and Bristol to flourish economically. Their wealth stemmed from slave labor and the trade of goods. James Watt's invention of the steam engine sparked the Industrial Revolution, revolutionizing production and earning Britain the title, the Workshop of the World. In the 19th century, under Queen Victoria, Britain expanded its colonial rule over India, Australia, and much of Africa. It became the world's largest imperial power, leaving global influence in its wake. However, between 1845 and 1852, Ireland suffered a devastating famine due to potato crop failure. Millions died, and Britain's inadequate response deepened Irish resentment, fueling resistance against British rule. From 1914 to 1918, during World War I, over 1 million British soldiers died. Troops from the colonies also made significant sacrifices. World War II, 1939 to 1945, saw Britain, under Churchill, endure German bombings. By war's end, the country was economically devastated. In 1947, India's independence delivered a major blow to British imperialism. Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent movement, the Muslim League's struggle under Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Britain's resource shortages made partition inevitable. This not only weakened Britain's global standing, but also marked the start of the decolonization era. In 1956, the Suez Crisis exposed Britain's remaining power as hollow. Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, prompting a secret attack by Britain, France, and Israel. But under pressure from the US and Soviet Union, Britain had to retreat, highlighting its decline and signaling the rise of US and Soviet dominance. In 1997, Britain handed over Hong Kong to China, marking the final chapter in its colonial history. After 150 years as a British colony, Hong Kong was returned under the One Country, Two Systems agreement. This event symbolized the end of European colonialism in Asia. After India's independence in 1947, Britain's imperial decline accelerated. In 1979, Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister and introduced sweeping economic reforms, privatization, reduced union power, and free market policies. In 1982, Britain fought the Falklands War against Argentina and regained control of the islands. The victory boosted Thatcher's international standing and domestic popularity. In the 2016 Brexit referendum, 52% voted to leave the European Union. By 2020, Britain officially exited the EU. Today, over 300 languages are spoken in London, making it one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world. British literature, music, theatre, and film continue to influence global culture. While sports like football, rugby, and cricket remain immensely popular. Prestigious institutions like Oxford and Cambridge attract the world's brightest minds, and Britain remains a leader in scientific research. However, internal challenges persist. Calls for Scottish independence are rising again, and political issues in Northern Ireland remain unresolved. After Brexit, Britain is seeking new directions for economic and diplomatic relations. Can Britain learn from its past to become a global power again, or will it fall victim to internal divisions and economic struggles? The story isn't over yet. The pages of history are still being written,